Hi, I'm Zhane.
I'm Garalisha.
I'm Drake.
And I'm Chelsie.
And today we're going to be talking about oral and nonverbal communications across the world. So pretty much we're going to be talking about the USA versus different parts of the world as far as business etiquette and everyday culture. So oral communication is how we verbally transmit information, and it's what we're all most familiar with. And nonverbal is how we transmit information with nonverbal cues such as attire, eye contact, handshake, stuff like that. All right, we're gonna get started with Latin America. So when you walk into a meeting, typically here, you're gonna speak English, but in Latin America, Spanish is the primary language, and they would rather not speak English, so it would be best to kind of learn their language. Greetings, you'll walk in, you'll say hi, how are you, whatever, and you'll do a firm handshake, and throughout the meeting, it's best to keep continuous eye contact here in the US. But Latin America, they're way more friendly and physical, so you'll see a lot of more patting on the back and hugging. Men usually hug for greetings, and men and women actually kiss on the cheek. So as far as punctuality, here in the US, we usually arrive on time or 10 minutes early, as people would like to say. Being late is very unprofessional, but in Latin America, the host is actually usually late, and they don't really go by time. It's just pretty much like a vibe. And as far as during the meetings when making that deal, money talks here in the US, so if you have the money, we can make a deal. But in Latin America, business discussions aren't even made until a relationship is built. So until that relationship is built, then they'll start to talk about the details of the business. All right, and as far as attire, so in Latin America in general, they wear a lot more color than we do, but you'll especially see it in the business settings. Women will wear more royal blues and pinks and purples, versus here we usually stick to whites and grays and blacks and nudes. Men wear much more color, as you can see here, versus our just white standards.
All right, next we are on to South Africa, the business etiquette, the proper ones at least. All right, so USA in the meetings. Usually they want to get straight to the business and they'll introduce themselves, do the bare minimum, but they're like all business. As for South Africa, whenever they first meet you, they don't want to talk about business right now. They want to introduce themselves, they want to get to know you, the whole shebang. So, and then after that, they'll talk as much business talk as you want to. As for office hours, this is where it got pretty cool and makes you want to move to South Africa. They are closed from mid-December to mid-January, as well as during the week of Easter and most Jewish holidays. So yeah, let's just move to South Africa. And then as for USA, they're closed on certain holidays, but surely not for a whole month for business. But as for attire, USA and South Africa, they compare to each other because men, they wear suit and ties, women will wear dresses and skirts, but in South Africa, you're not allowed to wear pantsuits, which is weird because everybody here, especially me, I'm not too sure on the dresses, so I wear pantsuits and blazers. But the language in USA is English, but a strong second coming in is Spanish. As for South Africa, English is the second language, but you're not expected to translate the documents, they'll do that for you. Now, eyes and expressions. They like to maintain eye contact constantly. So you have to appear to be a good listener. You can't be looking off and daydreaming and everything. You have to know yourself. So they like to express their affection openly. They like to slap you on the back and shake your hand. And weirdly enough, they will hold your hand in the sign of friendship. So if they hold your hand, you got them. Mm-hmm. Well, South Africans are also very animated and they communicate through their facial expressions whenever they speak. So make sure you pay attention to your face.
All right, and I'm going to be talking to you about greetings and goodbyes. As you may very well know, because of many different languages around the world, there are outstanding amount of ways of saying hello and goodbye. I chose to talk about Italy and Germany in specifically. So in the formal way of saying hello in European countries is salve, and arrivederci is the formal way of saying goodbye. It's usually used when talking to authority figures or people that are older in the community. Whereas in Germany, when saying good morning, good evening, good day, they use a more traditional terms like Guten Morgen, Guten Abend, and Guten Tag, which is what you usually learn if you were to take a German class. But through research, I learned that the informal way and more widespread of saying hello and goodbye in Germany is actually hello and tusk. I didn't know that before. And in Italy, the way to both say hello and goodbye is ciao. Though goodbye is more of a prolonged type of situation where people can string together a bunch of chows before they actually end the conversation. The next slide is all about business etiquette comparing US to Italy, as stated by Chelsie in the previous slide about South Africa. Guests are meeting. They want to establish a relationship before they conduct any business. Well, the relationship part isn't that important and when it comes to doing business, but they do not have special emphasis on punctuality because they are juggling multiple things at one time. They allow time for flexibility. When it comes to office hours, we traditionally in the US have Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 or 9 to 6. Over in Italy, they have a break in between, in their workday, a very large gap in their workday. Well, no, it's like an hour or two in their workday. They're open from 9 or 8 a.m. to 1 and then close. And then they'll return back to work from 3 to 6 or 7. They actually plan their entire year around Italy holidays, so that's very good as well. Attire is very similar to the US. They like suits, very formal wear, suits for men, suits for ladies, blouses, pants, skirts, very dark, neutral tones. But anything made in Italy is a plus. They're like the fashion capital of the world. And language. We speak English, and there's a widespread of English being spoken in Italy as well because of our growing relationship with them, as well as other countries around the world. Thank you.
So I'm going to talk about verbal and nonverbal etiquette in Asia. So the primary language used in business setting in Asia is English because it acts as a neutral ground. A lot of Asian countries use symbols in their language to communicate, so it makes it difficult to translate. However, despite the fact that they use English as a neutral language, they still often have to use translators. Almost all Asian countries communicate indirectly. Out of politeness, they find it very difficult to tell a company or an associate or a higher up no. They're very indirect, so instead of saying no, they'll say something like, I can do it, but it might be difficult. And that is their way of saying politely no. Power distance is very hierarchical in most Asian countries, especially in Japan and South Korea. And there's very little objection to that structure. They're very traditional. However, it's more bottom up. So in many business meetings, they like to include staff from all branches in the company instead of just executives. And they like to get everyone involved. So in terms of nonverbal etiquette, this is an example of the Japanese bow. There's the ishaku, the light bow, which is for someone of equal merit in a company, or an associate or friend. The medium bow is the kairi, or kairi, I really don't know how to pronounce it correctly. And that is a little bit slightly of a deeper bow, and that is for executives or people or a manager higher up than yourself. And then the deep bow, the sai kairi, is for people that you might greatly respect or when you're delivering an apology. The Asians use many facial expressions and low use of body language, besides, of course, the bow. They do not like to make a lot of exaggerated movements. They like to stand firmly with firm posture, and they express most of what they want to say through just their face. Talking too much is considered rude in most Asian countries. Not talking at all is even worse because it shows a lack of participation. It shows boredom in business settings. So you don't want to talk too much, but you also don't want to not talk. Personal touch is considered rude also, and understandably. In most Asian countries, yawning is extra rude in business settings because it shows you're bored. Eye-to-eye contact is rare in most Asian countries, especially in Japan, and is considered shameful. Asian countries prefer fleeting, intermittent eye contact as opposed to prolonged eye contact. Emotional restraint is also valued very highly in most Asian countries. So, hand gestures in Asia, this is interesting. Pointing in China is considered very offensive, as the gesture is only used on dogs and animals. Further, the Chinese people like to point with their middle finger, whereas in America this is a little more offensive. Handshake etiquette varies in Asia. The Japanese don't shake hands at all, as they prefer the bow. However, in Fiji, they may shake your hands for minutes until the greeting process is over. In America, our handshakes are obviously they're commonplace and frequent, but usually very brief. Hands in pocket in Japan and South Korea, this is considered too casual and comes off as too lax and arrogant. In America, it conveys a sense of more relaxed composure. And eating with the correct hand might not seem like a big deal to us. However, in Bangladesh and India, the right hand is the polite hand to use for eating, and the left hand is used for toilet activities. So in conclusion, there's a lot to be aware of when it comes to cross-cultural communication, especially in a business setting, whether it be between us, Latin America, South Africa, Europe, or Asia. You really need to do your homework on the host countries so as to not make or break a business deal, which you can do very easily. Things that might seem like a common or basic gesture to us, like a handshake or prolonged eye contact, might be inappropriate or offensive to someone else. So it's very important to keep an open mind when dealing with cross-cultural communication. And that is our presentation. Thank you.